Davy Chou, writer, director, producer, born in France. Chou has been nurturing young filmmakers in Cambodia since 2009. He is the founder member of Kon Khmer Kun Khmer filmmaking collective. His grandfather, Wan Chan, was one of Cambodia's leading film producers during the 1960s. Chou went on to make the documentary Golden Slumbers about the golden age of Cambodian cinema in the 1960s until its eventual destruction at the hands of the Khmer Rouge. In 2014, he made the award-winning short film Cambodia 2099 that was selected for Cannes Directors Spotlight. The next year, Chou made his feature debut with Diamond Island. The film took him back to Cannes. It won the SACD award. Hi, welcome to the Southeast Asia Director Focus. And this session, we are having Davy Chou from Cambodia with a remarkable first feature that has won an award in Cannes. Welcome to the studio, Davy. You were born in France.
Sure.
And you were educated there.
Yep.
You came back to Cambodia to make your feature film?
Yeah, actually, I was born in France. My both parents were born in Cambodia, and then they moved to France in 1973. In 1975, the Khmer Rouge took over the country, as people know, and it was 4 years of horror and genocide. And then at the beginning, my parents planned to go back. They were thinking of going to study and then going back to France, but they couldn't, as many of the generation who went in France before or abroad before. So they were stuck in the country, and then they decided to they lost the majority of their family in Cambodia back then. So they just decided to set up in France and start a new life. That's how I was born there, educated and grew up there. And I wouldn't say I went back there because I went there for the first time. That was in 2008 and 2009. I was 25 at that time. And I went there because I wanted to make some research that ended up being not Diamond Island, my first feature, but my first documentary film named Golden Slumbers, which was dealing with the golden age of Cambodian cinema from the 60s. And I had a direct family link with that because my grandfather, who I never met, who died before I was born, was the biggest film producer in Cambodia back then in the 60s and 70s. I didn't know anything about that when I grew up, to be honest. I started making films in France without thinking of this grandfather, and that's when, just about being 20 or something, I started to ask questions around, asking to my aunt, to my parents. And when I discovered that he was this big film producer and there was a big film industry in Cambodia back then in the 60s and 70s that nobody had never heard about, and I had never heard about it, I decided to go and investigate. So that's how I decided to spend, at that time, 1 year and a half in Cambodia, discovering the countries, learning the language, which I didn't know actually. And that's ended up being my first film, Golden Slumbers.
So this Diamond Island is an actual island by itself, where the development was going on when you were shooting?
Absolutely. Diamond Island is a real place. I haven't invented it. And I had this abstract idea that I want to make a film about youth today in Cambodia, dealing with the issues of development, modernization, globalization, and the way it impacts, and he makes the youth reacting to that. But it was abstract, I have to say. And then it's when I went to Diamond Island, that was in 2013, that I just went into the place. So it's a real island, which used to be a desert island, empty island. And then around maybe 2000, I would say 5, 6, private investors decided to invest billions of dollars to create some kind of mini city in the city, which will be like a futuristic Cambodia. But it's exactly in the bridge, in the edge of capital city, Phnom Penh. When I was there, actually, it was still unfinished. That's what also bring me so fascinated by the place. It was because during the day it's totally empty, and you see all these massive condominiums or habitation in the process of being made, with all these advertisements for futuristic Cambodia. And you see these thousands of kids that inspire me for the main characters of my film, coming from the countryside, being around 18 to 25 years old, and going for the first time in the capital city to be construction workers and to build this Cambodia of the future. But also what fascinated me is not just about that, but the fact that at night, let's say past 6 p.m., 7 p.m., the island kind of totally changes, and then you have all the youth, like say the urban youth of the city, after university or high school, come to hang out on their motos, as we see in my film, and they just cruise around in couples, a group of friends, and they just go around, sit on the places, chit-chat, have fun, don't do anything else than just chit-chatting and touring in motos. But their eyes full of wonder, let's say, something like attract them in this image of modernity in progress that kind of Diamond Island represents. So that was, for me, like the perfect symbol to make this film, because it's just like vehicles everything I wanted to touch and capture through the film.
All those young people, are they professional actors or did you pick them from the streets?
No, they're all amateurs, for sure. It was an obvious choice for me. I mean, it's a very classical choice, of course. We've been seeing a lot of film with amateur actors, maybe even more in the field of indie or art house films. In the frame of Cambodia, I have to say, the film industry in Cambodia is very small. We do have actors, like TV drama actors and karaoke actors that can look great on screen, but they were very far from what I was looking for, which was raw actors to play the natural characters that I wrote, which was based on reality and my observation, being in Phnom Penh, but also spending hours in Diamond Island observing workers. So that was like a big task that we took something like 5 months with my team to just look for actors every day. And basically looking for them in the places where I could find people who share the same social background, the characters. So it was hanging out in the factories, in front of construction sites, in the restaurant, in the clubs, in the garage, and just opening the eyes. But it was the first time for me doing that. I did it with my team every day as well. But it was so fascinating because it's just, it's maybe dealing with my job, but it's open the eyes on reality. It means that you're seeing many things, but maybe sometimes you're not really looking. And then if you just pay attention, and I had to pay attention very in detail to all the faces I could see during 5 months, always having a voice in my head that maybe that's my future main actor hiding behind this human being. So you have to be extremely detailed and open and aware of everything. And suddenly you see and you notice many things that you usually don't notice. So that was a very nice experience for me. That was the case for the main female character, Asa, who played Asa in the film. I gave the same name than the actress. And then I just met her on Diamond Island, and I had a direct crush on her character. Was just so free and so insolent, I would say, like in the film. I said, that's exactly what I need. And then I would ask her to come to the casting, and she never showed up. Because she was just feeling it so strange that the director will go in the street to find actors. She didn't trust me. So I really had to push her, phone her all the time, find her in her workplace, in the shopping mall. She was selling candies. And then I convinced her and she came. And when she made the test, after 3 months chasing her, that was obvious that it was her because she was just amazing.
Your main character, Bora, he was so natural and he had that innocence which is running through your whole film from the beginning itself. I think it's very difficult for a non-actor to do that.
To be honest, I think it's impossible. Or maybe like a genius actor, but what you say for me is exactly true, is that that's exactly what I was looking for. Looking for the main character playing Bora. I was looking for endlessly for 5 months for this actor, and I was just looking for the eyes. Because I knew exactly what I wanted, because of course, again, I inspire myself from what I observe in the reality. And these wandering eyes of, as you say, innocence, but mixed with the innocence of someone who discover and see things for the first time, with the feeling of first times and first discovery, but mixed with some kind of a huge appetite and curiosity towards things, the world, and exploring things. And the actor provided me that, and it's funny enough that the way I found him, so he's a taxi driver in the real life, and then he's driving a minivan from Phnom Penh, the capital city, to Kampot. The province is about 3.5 hours every day. And that's exactly how I met him. I was driving with my assistant casting on the street, and then he was looking for actors, so he's also looking at people. And then we just have some kind of cross eyes, and I didn't say that's him, but I just felt something. So it was about, and I think this job is about that, but it's about also trusting your feeling and your instinct that somehow you feel something, maybe there is something.
And he's never kissed a girl before. How do you know?
Yeah, there was of course there was this kiss scene that I wrote. So during the casting, I will always ask, because I took opportunity meeting the actors to ask them like infinite questions, to try to know them and to see if they have some kind of connection in their background, personality with my characters. So for the main actor, Bora, all the guys I will meet, I will ask them like, what is their story with their brother, because it's a story of two brothers reconnecting. What is the story with their mom? What were their dreams? But also what was their love story? Do they used to have girlfriends? And I need to know that, because I needed Bora to be shy, but in some time, because there was this kissing and love story, he should not be too shy. So for the actor playing Nun Sobon, I asked him like, so do you have girlfriends? And he said, yeah. He was a little proud to say yes. I said, okay, how many? He said, I had 7 girlfriends. I said, wow, that's a lot, because he's 18, and in Cambodia, it's culture of kids are still very shy, so it's not like, well, 7 is cool. So I said, okay, that's fine. So he's gonna be okay for the kissing. And then I showed him, and then we start to rehearse, and I train him. I didn't meet the actress yet, the main actress playing Azar. And then I asked him like, and at one point I feel like that's the good time to announce him that there will be a kissing. So I said, okay, so I forgot to tell you, but there will be like a scene that you're gonna kiss the girl, and then he become like green. I said, what's the problem? He said, but I cannot kiss. I said, but you told me that you have 7 girlfriends. He said, yeah, but I just bring her to the restaurant, eat ice cream together, and that's like the romantic dimension of like young Cambodian couples. And I understood that he never kissed a girl. So I was like, wow, what are we gonna do? But then, of course, we were very excited that we're gonna like, I wanted to say print, we're gonna capture the first kiss of the actors ever.
Wow.
So of course it was a big scene. We shot it like around the 2nd or 3rd week of the shooting. Everybody was very, very excited. The actress, it wasn't her first kiss for her. Sorry to keep this non-secret. And so everybody was so excited, and we were all like waiting for that. And then he was so shy that we had to cut like all the scenes before, because it was a short sequence. I decided to make just one take for all the sequence. It's a long sequence, they discussed before. And at the very end, he needed to kiss her. And then all the time, it was amazing dialogue between the couple. And at the very last minute, when he had to kiss, he would just like go and then say, cut. And then like everybody was, oh no, we're never gonna finish that day. And eventually, I think for the 13th take, he decided to, he just took his courage and did it. And that's the only one that he did. So it's like, I think so far it's the first and so far up to date last kiss that he ever made. Yeah.
Were there any professionals involved as actors in the film?
There's just one actor, which is a professional, is Virak, who played the kind of boss of the gang of workers. And he's the guy that he's a very talkative guy, and so he's coming from a circus. So he's a clown trained in a circus, and he had a little experience on stage. So he helped me a little to bring the other actors to this level of easiness.
Yeah, he was a real clown in the story, eh?
Yeah, he helped like bringing also his kind of light humor as well.
Because Ingmar Bergman, the Swedish filmmaker, once said that if you want to know what a filmmaker is saying, don't look at what he's showing, but look at how he's showing it. And your first scene is of 2 kids by the roadside, and they're looking maybe for the bus or something that's coming. And then one kid says, call Bora. It means he's in the house waiting to go. That very shot itself tells me this film is about innocence and naivete, which is what is in Bora. And at the end, when you sum it up, even though you don't tell us, but that innocence and naivete is still there. And even the mother calling on the phone. You know, mothers always, the first thing they will ask you, have you eaten?
Sure.
They're so concerned. Why? Because they fed their kids when they were young and so on. For a young man like you, how was it that you were able to capture or think of all of these things?
I think it's coming with the personal obsessions as well of every filmmaker. So maybe this thematic of the loss of innocence, maybe the lost paradise of childhood, because as you mentioned on the first shot, it's a long shot on a house with 2 kids in the village, in the countryside, and that first scene is the only scene that we're gonna have in the village until the very end. So I wanted to create some kind of strong impression that is already something's is about to vanish. Because very quickly after we're going to the over-modernization of Diamond Island, which represents maybe the future of Cambodia. So maybe at the beginning it's some kind of sign of the past that is still here, but for how long? That's maybe that. And of course, playing with the kids bring this idea of maybe it's an image of Bora when he was a kid, because he was obviously born in this house and he has all his memory, and now he's going to maybe, it's a classical coming-of-age story as well, as Bora is going to become an adult. But I wanted the film to be not just a coming-of-age, that at the end of the day, at the end of the film, the main character just learns something and is ready to be an adult. It's also really about the loss of innocence, which is we all experience in a way. And it's how achieving your dreams or becoming an adult is also losing something forever, a part of naivety that you were mentioning. And going back to the sequence that is in the middle of the film, actually, when Bora is having some kind of trouble now in his adaptation to the new society that his brother bring him to, and then his mom just phoned him in the middle of the film, and it was a very long sequence that he phoned with his mom. And yeah, for me, we don't see her. We just hear her voice. And it's like she's already disappearing as well. We feel that it's already a trace of something. And yeah, to write that, I don't know. I just close my eyes and think of what I talk with my mom when I'm in Cambodia, she's in France. And as you say, it's a very classical, especially every Asian, because when I show the film in Europe, people say, oh, that's a very strange way for the mom to talk to the kid. But when I show it to Asia, everybody relates very easily, because this question of where are you, what did you eat, do you have enough sleep, which look like a very mundane question, are extremely, we know, meaningful, because in the non-spoken words, in the silence, and it's a very normal question, it's full of meaning.
Yeah, and it's very Asian, that's the important thing.
I think so, yeah.
The cinematography was so exquisite. It was beautiful, but it was meaningful. You chose all those lights moving in the background and so on. It's like they were in a fantasy world, the world of the young people that is separated from the capitalist world, isn't it? So when you discuss with your cinematographer, he understood, of course. And how was your relationship with your cinematographer?
Yeah, so the cinematographer is a French DP named Thomas Favel I used to work with since my documentary Golden Slumbers. To prepare this film, we talk a lot about the meaning of the film that we need to translate in terms of visual language, image, but also in sound, with the sound designer. That's exactly what you said, that we wanted to create a fantasy world, which means that can I create the conditions in terms of visual as element of the film so that we will see this world of Diamond Island through the eyes of the characters. Because it's true that if you look at it with a distant point of view, maybe the first time I went there, you will be surrounded by something that you don't think attracted to, because it's just an image of a future, a capitalist future that is just a copy from other countries suddenly brought into Cambodia. So of course, myself as an individual, I'm not attracted to Diamond Island to live there. But I had to say, and that was the incentive, the origin of the film, that looking at the eyes of both the workers on Diamond Island at night, hanging out in the middle of the lights, but also the Urbanian middle-class youth going to hang out on the island at night, I could see in the eyes something that they could see, maybe the island, they could see something that I couldn't see. So maybe the idea of making the film is to try to understand what can they see and to build a visual language that maybe I can bring the audience to also feel what they feel. And maybe this world is full of dreams. Maybe this world is full of a kind of artificiality, because Diamond is about that. That's why I start to think of the aesthetic of video games, the aesthetic of 3D animation, which I use at the beginning of my film, the aesthetic of holograms, which is, of course, very meaningful in terms of illusion, artificial image, but in the same time is extremely attractive, and to use all palette of colors so that this world is very seductive and can kind of attract all these young people into a world full of colors that just want to bring them into it.
So do you see any talented filmmakers coming up in Cambodia, because you are involved in nurturing some young filmmakers?
Of course, I do see some very talented Cambodian filmmakers coming up. I opened my production company named NT Archive something like 2 or 3 years ago, with the idea of being open house to welcome independent directors from Cambodia and who want to shoot in Cambodia, and to welcome them and to discuss for their films. And so far we've been co-producing several films, including Dreamland by Steve Chen and Turn Left, Turn Right by Douglas Seok, and all shot in Cambodia. And now we're really working closely with one of the founders of NT-Archive named Kavich Ning, who have produced the 2 first short films of Free Wheels and Goodbye Phnom Penh. And now we're into the development of his first feature named White Building. And it's not just about Kavich, who I think really believe is very talented, but I can see that there is a desire, there is people making short films, and there is some talent that just need to develop their own voices here, for sure. But I have to say that Cambodia film industry so far is still very small if you compare it to Malaysian film industry or other Southeast Asian film industries. And we're still building also a mainstream cinema. It's not yet very solid. So of course, independent cinema will take a lot of time to develop itself.
Has the government come into the picture?
So far, the government and mainly the Ministry of Culture has been supportive when the film make it to festival abroad and this kind of stuff, and yeah, filmmakers receive some attention. But of course, attention is not enough. So all filmmakers always need in every part of the world to also have financial support to be able to survive and to make their film, which is the most important. So I heard some project from the Ministry of Culture in Cambodia to open some film funds for filmmakers. That will be maybe for this year, so let's wait and see. But that was to happen. That would be, of course, I think it will be very small at the beginning, but that will be a very good news for the future for sure.
Well, thank you very much,
Thank you.
Davy. It was very enlightening about what you are doing, and we hope to see your next film soon.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.